The Cyber Assessment Framework for Local Government is a tool for councils to assess and improve their cyber resilience. Norfolk County Council took part in a recent pilot of the framework, along with 19 other councils. During the pilot, Norfolk undertook a self-assessment of their organisation. They are now sharing their experience and providing advice to other councils who may be considering undertaking the CAF for local government.
Hi, my name's Andy Ambridge.
I'm Kurt Frary.
I'm the Business Systems Architect for Norfolk County Council.
I'm Head of IT for Norfolk County Council. I'm also Vice President of SOCATM, so the Society for Innovation, Technology and Modernisation. So here at Norfolk County Council, we feel, like many organisations do, we've always had a very good or appropriate security stance and profile, and we assessed risks properly. We were early adopters of the PSN and have followed that for many years, going through that usual cycle. Then the CAF came along, Cyber Assessment Framework, and as we were looking at that, it clearly covers more than some of those other accreditations. So it covers the governance, the supply chain, and all of those things. So it makes you stop and think, have I covered all the areas or have I not? And if I have I covered them completely? Have we got any potential gaps or risks there?
Much like all the other local authorities, we adhere to the things we must do, and those controls tend to be technical rather than the kind of wider thing that CAF gives you. So we took it seriously. I think we run a tight ship security, but I don't think we had things like board engagement, risk engagement, things like that, the wider things that in a modern cyber secure environment you would expect. Our Director of Digital Services, Jeff Connell, is Chair of CTAG, and so we get to hear about a lot of central government initiatives that way, and we maintain very close relationships with the National Cyber Security Centre as well. So when we started to hear that CAF was a thing in its early development, we were obviously very interested to know more about it, and as we started to hear more about it, and this was a couple of years ago now actually, it became clear there was things that CAF did that other assessment frameworks didn't. So that's when it became obvious to us that that was something we wanted to get engaged in.
Bringing in the CAF and following that has enabled us to look across all of the elements of security and cyber assurance, ranging from governance to the supply chain, and for us to understand where our risk is, how we can improve, how we can have a step change in some areas, and where we are generally on that level of cyber risk assurance. And that gives us more confidence because we don't know everything, and having a framework we can follow, a national framework, helps us with that.
So the experience has been wholly positive from our point of view. I'm not going to mince words. It's a lot of work, but it needs to be a lot of work. There's a lot to cover in it, and so I think our experience in the engagement was that perhaps at the very start we weren't sure what was needed, neither was anybody else, and through help from our colleagues at MHCLG and NCSC, we learned what the objectives for CAF were, what benefits for us would be, and what the wider adoption in the industry and public sector is likely to be. So having seen those benefits, I think it was a no-brainer for us. We definitely wanted to pursue that. I think the big win for us with CAF is that it covers more than just the technical cybersecurity aspects. So if you'd ever done PSN, if you've ever done Cyber Essentials or Cyber Essentials Plus, you'll have covered off all the basics. Patching's up to date, security's up to date, your laptop's locked down, all that kind of thing. And the advantage I think we found with CAF on our journey is that it covers much, much more than that. So two massive areas for us that no other security framework has covered have been things like risk, governance, and disaster recovery and business continuity, all of which the CAF now encapsulate. And those are really important elements because, as I say, I don't think any other assessment framework has covered those before, and they're such important parts of cybersecurity these days. Getting that engagement, from senior board directors, engagement from risk colleagues, engagement from resilience and VC colleagues. That's been a huge benefit to us.
I've seen, since we've engaged with the CAF, I've seen quite a culture change in terms of people now understand that they need to be managing the cyber risk at all levels, not just have we got the technical controls in place, but in terms of governance, in terms of supply chain. We've had so many discussions about supply chain, how we need to manage that to make sure that's not a problem as well. It gives us a good understanding as an organisation as a whole of what we need to do around cyber. And it goes as far as the guidance we have to give staff and how we help staff understand that risk, because it also helps them in and out of work. So it's a really good thing to be doing. The cyber assessment framework does make you think about all of the areas you may not have thought about or you may not have put so much effort in, and it helps you understand the totality of the risk.
Our resilience team, I think, have always worried that they were never taken seriously in that agenda. They've always traditionally been very good at dealing with fires, floods, mass evacuations, that kind of thing, coastal erosion. But in terms of cyber, that's a relatively new area. And what the CAF captured brilliantly for us was that the cyber security element in resilience and business continuity is so important. And the surprise for me was, in fact, how much the CAF aligned with what the risk and the business continuity communities were doing already. And when I approached them to be part there, to take on a role within the cyber assessment framework, they were so open to that and so pleased that somebody was actually talking to them about it in a central government sponsored national cyber security centre supported framework that aligned very well with the work they were doing, the critical systems, the risk analysis, the board level governance engagement. So those have all been surprising but very welcome alignments from our point of view. It's raised the profile of cyber within the authority, not just for the directors, but of course they then cascade it down to their teams, and all of a sudden you get engagement from management level right across the board. People who perhaps wouldn't have engaged with you before suddenly started taking it seriously, and I'd say that's directly down to the CAF board level engagement objective. So moving forward with the CAF for us, that's given us an early opportunity to see what better and best look like now. So from this process, I've been able to identify where we're going to need to improve, where our areas for growth are on that one. So moving forward, doing the complete CAF assessment live, which is what we'll probably do next, that means that we'll get that level of engagement from those colleagues. They'll already be expecting it, and we'll be able to build on and improve in those areas. I think all local authorities of all sizes are going to need to engage with this to understand the commitment. There is a resource commitment, to be sure, and it's more than or just one person. So I think my advice to local authorities would be engage with it early, understand the scope of it, understand who else you need to engage with. So something I learned from the CAF was, although I completely understand our infrastructure in intimate detail, because of the nature of cloud services, other people run other services I don't necessarily understand, and if that's an essential service and a critical system for the authority, you're going to need their help. So spread the net wide, get the CAF roles, have a look at the CAF roles and responsibilities. That's something that was a little bit hidden to start with, but it's absolutely crucial to understand who else needs to be involved in completing the CAF from your authority's point of view. But I think once you've done that, it becomes achievable.
Yeah, there's a number of things I would advise councils who haven't engaged with the CAF yet to do. One is look at your cyber stance at the moment and how you assess that risk, and have a look at the CAF and see initially whether you cover all of those areas, because I bet you don't. And that's one of the things that's really great in terms of the CAF. It will list all the different areas, and then you can have a cohesive conversation with your senior leaders around what it means to your organisation and where potentially you may have some risk. And after all, our role really is to look at where there's risk areas and improve them, so we keep our organisation safe and secure. Now that is a positive conversation, a proactive conversation with your senior leaders about, well, we've got this here, there's a national framework we could follow to improve our cyber stance, why wouldn't we? It will take some effort, and you may have heard from my colleague Andy Ambridge talking about the effort, but it's worth doing because it will give you confidence and give your senior leaders confidence you're doing the right thing. So when we looked at the cyber assessment framework, you may think I'm a smaller council or I'm a different type of council. We're a large county council, and it's given us a good understanding of our cyber risk and assurance, but you can't go by the size of your council, and you can't go by the type of council. What you need to do is all assess the cyber risks in a common way so that we're all understanding them in the same way. Now, it doesn't matter if you're large or small, you still could get ransomware in, you still could have a significant cyber attack, a denial of service attack stopping your services. So the only way to mitigate that is to make sure we put the effort and time into understanding our own cyber risks and we mitigate against them. It's not a small undertaking, but the effort you put in will give you much more reassurance in your cyber stance and a better understanding. And that's the key. Education about your cyber risk profile and where you need to improve can make a real difference to you and may stop you getting a cyber attack.